It is going to be recorded for everybody. The organizers have asked that we share this recording after the fact, which we will do. We'll send it, and I do believe they're going to send it out to everybody. Just a little bit of a Zoom, kind of tutorial. We've been using these for, what is it now, 14, 15 months. I'm sure everybody's an expert. But on the very top right-hand, hi Anna, on the very top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll have a little button called View. If you click on that and go to Speaker View, we kind of get rid of all this Brady Bunch stuff, and I'll be sort of on the bigger screen, and everybody else will kind of be tiles on top or on the side, depending on how you've got your system set up. Okay, let's just wait a couple of minutes here just to see who else pops on. And just, if you're from Calgary, so we will use the chat if you guys are interested in doing that. I'll respond as best I can as we go along, but probably what I'll do is leave 5 minutes or so at the end of this to go back to the chat and just refer to some of the questions if you have them. Hi, well, I've got Adam's on the screen. Is that Adam's? True, there he is. This is kind of fun. I love doing it for groups that know each other, right? We do these lots of times for people across Canada and nobody knows anybody. So you guys are, this is kind of cool. And working at a brewery, you guys must have no end of antics and excitement and funny stories. So this is perfect. And is that true, Darren? You're nodding.
Yeah, Lorna, I just want to thank you for doing this for us. And then it's just sort of weird because it's like Denise is looking in my window right now. Strange.
It's not creepy at all, though, really.
I feel very comfortable right
now. And it's not called stalking when you know them, right? Okay. So I'm not sure. No, I'm just going to pin myself up there. So has everybody got their speaker view going on their system? And then you might need to click on my photo or my sort of self so that I become sort of the pin. And I'm just going to just spend a moment here just keeping track of our participants. So I think we've got 9 devices on side, which is awesome. So let's just maybe give 1 more minute for anybody else that pops in. So you guys are all kind of doors locked up tight. Are you still making beer though? I would guess so, right? Yes, yes? Yeah,
we're still operating in a delivery and takeaway model.
Perfect.
And still doing beer production as well, just because the production itself is about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
From start to finish.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So Adam, once again, we got Ray popping in here. So once again, do we have, are these all Calgary people, or are these just your bigger company? I don't mean just, or are these your bigger company people as well?
So this one's going to be for the people who work out of Calgary and out of the Last Best location. Some of them, primarily work out of the Last Best location full time. And some other ones, the people on our head office team or sales team, they spend most of their time, their home office or head base would be Last Best, but they're a little bit more mobile as well.
Got it. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Good. Just so I can kind of get my head wrapped around demographics and location, all that good stuff. So
yeah, sorry, Lorna, what we would be planning on doing is going through this seminar, and then probably you, me, Ray, and Joel, like having a meeting, doing some feedback and like what was fantastic.
Love it.
Some things that we'd probably want to focus more on, and then we'll probably do it at each different location as well.
Love it. That's great. Great. Well, and it's such a I guess such a symptom of this pandemic world that we're in, right? These online sessions. Our sessions typically have been in person, and we bring in a big blue padded guy, and he comes in and jumps you, and based on all of the stuff that we've learned over the course of of this particular session, you're fending them off and avoiding them and beating them up and getting away and running to safety. So it's a switching to online for us has been awesome. We do these all the time for kids and teens and corporations. We've got a massive online sort of link with a well, they're a property management company, so we're training up their security and maintenance kind of folks. We're doing this with a group out of Edmonton that has, they're part of a mall management conglomerate thing. So yeah, we're kind of training up their maintenance people mostly, and you know, the folks that are working sort of as part of the bigger company. So it's great. It's great. So again, I think we've got, let me just check. We've got 13 people on site. So let's jump in and get going. Again, just a little reminder, people, just Zoom kind of stuff, just to get rid of that Brady Bunch sort of look. If you go up on the top right part of your screen, you're going to see a little button called Zoom, called View. Click on there and you'll get speaker view, and then my big face will jump up on your screen, and so we are ready to go. So welcome. This is Safe for Life Personal Safety Training and Self-Defense. We're so glad that you can join us, and thanks, Adam, for getting this rolling and set up for your staff team. It really is a kudos to you for recognizing the need for this training and the importance of this kind of program for your staff. The risks and the I guess complexities that go on in our world, especially now for whatever reason, mid-pandemic, things have really kind of spiraled out of control in and around the safety of our employees and just people in general. We've got reports. I'm getting called and emailed all the time. I was, you know, followed as I was leaving, you know, Marshall's store, you know, last week, or I was in line at a, you know, picking up some food, and this happened to me at Tim Hortons or whatever that was. So lots and lots of risks out there right now, lots and lots of uneasy situations. And so let's talk about those. So I want to just present to you, for many people, the worst case scenario, and that is an attack scenario where you are going to work, coming from work, and you're literally jumped. So you're grabbed from behind, thrown to the pavement, completely seemingly out of the blue, and down you go onto the pavement, face first. You got some big dude, and I call them dudes or bad guys or whatever, because primarily it is a male who will perpetrate an assault. So the only the only time where that changes is very often if it is a group of teenage females. They also seem to, their numbers for perpetrating an assault or any kind of an attack that age between about 16 and 19, that also is a fairly risky and perpetrative group, I guess I'll call them. So ganging together 2 or 3 or 4 teenage females, and they have been known as well to attack. So you are jumped, you're down on the ground, on the pavement, in the parking lot of your place of work. What is the first thing that you are going to do in that situation to save your life? Because that right there is a life-threatening, life-endangering situation. So what is the first thing that you're going to do? So I would just ask if you would unmute yourself just for this part, and I'm just going to ask for a little bit of feedback. So in that situation, you are at risk. Your life is in danger, okay? And certainly your safety is in danger. What is the first thing that you're going to do? Anybody just shout it out.
Scream.
Scream.
Yeah, scream. Use that safety feature on my iPhone where you can
Perfect.
Activate the emergency thing.
Okay, we're going to talk about cell phones in a second. Yeah, that question comes up all the time. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let's put that in the parking lot, and I'll address that after. Somebody said scream. That right there is the first strategy that you are going to put into place to save your life. And screaming isn't, screaming is like this, it's massive, okay? And I know I probably blew your ears off, but that is the honest to God truth of how loud you need to scream. The importance of screaming and hollering, I cannot emphasize enough. With a scream, with a yell, with a shout, all of that, it needs to be at the top of your lungs. Now, here's the thing about it. When we were, 3 and 4, we used to scream over everything. Oh, a balloon, or a birthday party, right? When we are about 6 or 7 or 8 years old, males and females, we are taught, shh, oh my gosh, keep it down, you're so loud. Why are you screaming? Stop shouting, right? So we, as human beings, we stopped shouting, okay? But when you are in a situation where you are trying to save your life and needing to save your life, you need to shout, you need to scream, you need to yell, because it attracts attention. And even if it seems like nobody is around, if you are yelling and shouting and hollering and screaming as loud as you can, you never know who's going to happen to be looking out their kitchen window at any given time, driving by in a vehicle, walking by. When you are in that situation, you need help. You need another person to come to your assistance, okay? Hollering, yelling, screaming, shouting, that is the way that you're going to attract that attention. Yelling and screaming also does 2 other very, very important things in that situation. So first of all, it's attracting attention. The second thing that it does is it changes the mind, it changes the focus of your perpetrator, of your attacker, okay? So a perpetrator has a plan, right? This is what I'm going to do to that person right there, and they're going to comply with me. As soon as we, as the target of that assault, as soon as we yell, shout, scream, that perpetrator is suddenly going to realize that we are not the victim they intended us to be. They're going to change their mind about whether or not we're an easy target, okay? That's going to throw their whole plan in turmoil, okay? So first thing hollering and yelling, screaming in that situation does, attracts attention. Second thing that it does is it changes the mind of the perpetrator. Our element of surprise towards him throws him off his plan, okay? Messes up his plan. The third thing that yelling and screaming will do in that situation is the perpetrator sees themselves as having this much power over you, this much energy over you, okay? You're this little victim down here. As soon as you accelerate with your voice and up your ante, so to speak, you are seen by him as having more power, at least to match or surpass him. Oh, we got Leanna coming in here. So you all of a sudden have elevated your power at least to match, meet his, or exceed his. And right there, you are in a much better position to remove yourself from that situation. All of a sudden, your attacker doesn't see himself or herself as being as powerful as they intended to be, okay? So those 3 things, super important for that yelling, screaming, okay? So what is the next thing you're going to be doing? You're yelling and screaming, stop, no, back off, right? What is the next thing you're going to be doing? Anybody? Unmute yourself if you like. Anybody? I'll jump in here. You're going to be fighting back, okay? You're going to be using your elbows, you're going to be using your fists, you're going to be kicking, okay? Fling your head back. Somebody is laying on top of you, wrestle your way around. Then you've got your, so that you're on your front and you're fighting, kicking, spit, doesn't matter what it is that you're going to do. In our programs, in our face-to-face programs, we don't teach specific strategies, put your fist here, hold your leg there, put your thumb here, because when you are in that situation where you are fighting for your life, fighting doesn't come with choreography, okay? Fighting comes with just flailing, flinging, slugging, slapping, smacking, punching, whatever it is that you can do at the same time as you're screaming to get out of that situation. Then, and we're going to go over a few of those just simple basic strategies, mostly for practice. I really believe that we as human beings, if you have never, ever punched, slapped, or slugged something, I think you need to, okay? Because if you are ever in a situation where it is a requirement to save your life, if you've already done it, you know you can do it, okay? If you've never hit somebody before, it might feel weird, strange, awkward to do it the first time. I would strongly suggest that you get yourself a pillow, you get the back of a couch, you get yourself a footstool, whatever it is that you want to use, a bed, a mattress, whatever, and practice punching, okay? You need to know what that feels like to strike another object. That object being potentially a perpetrator should you ever need to. So, okay, first thing you're going to do, you are in an attack situation, you're going to scream, you're going to holler, you're going to yell. Okay, you're going to attract that attention, get the help that you need, disrupt that attacker's thought process. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to fight back with whatever you've got as long as you can, all the while screaming, stop, 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 no, help, help, help. Okay, third thing you're going to do in that situation, you have been you have been startled, you're in shock, but you will feel the moment when that perpetrator has released his grip or her grip on you for a moment in time. That is when you are going to get up and you're going to run as fast as you can, as far away as you can. Here's the question. Where are you going to go? What is it that you're going to look for when you're running? The answer is you're going to look for a place where there's lights, and you're going to look for another person, another human being. This is where the question comes in about a cell phone. Is your cell phone in that moment going to assist you? I can promise you that it probably will not, okay? Because chances are, if you have your cell phone in your hand or in your back pocket or wherever your cell phone is at the time you are attacked, my guess is that cell phone now has been skidded across that parking lot, across the pavement, 20, 30, 40 feet. You are not going to be able to find that cell phone. The second thing is this. Your cell phone, I'm just going to grab mine here. Your cell phone requires fine motor control to operate it, okay? When you are in that situation of shock, trauma, high surge of adrenaline, you cannot operate equipment that requires fine motor control, okay? Because what happens, if anybody has been in a situation where they've had a surge of adrenaline, you get the shakes, and all of your attention focuses on your life-saving activities, right? Your lungs, your brain, your heart. You will have very little fine motor dexterity. So you, and as well, you will not be able to figure out your passcode on your phone. You probably won't be able to count to 5 if you're going to hit the start button 5 times, right? And when you think of all the prompting, do you really want to phone 911? Click yes. If you click yes again to verify, right? There's so many steps in phoning 911 from your cell phone that you can do it or ask somebody else to do it for you. So the best way that your cell phone will support you in that situation is when you can hand your cell phone off to somebody that you have found who is going to support you, okay, and help you out in that situation. That is the moment where your cell phone is going to help you. While you are fighting for your life, I would strongly suggest that you use what you've already got in your body, your voice, your fists, okay, to get out of that situation. Okay, makes sense? Whoever it was that was making that comment about cell phone, it's a brilliant strategy. Give it to somebody else and say, I've just been attacked, phone 911. Okay, so the fourth thing that you need to do in that situation where you are assaulted, where you are down in the ground. Okay, so you're screaming, hollering, you're fighting back, you've run, you've bought yourself a few minutes of time, a few seconds of time where you're now running to go to safety. Okay, you're going to look for lights, you're going to look for other people, you're going to pass them your cell phone if you wish to say phone 911. What is it that you need to do that last point? That last piece of it is breathe. Okay, you need to breathe and you need to report the incident. Okay, now once again, this breathing part is about managing your adrenaline. Okay, if anybody has been in a situation, whether it's a car accident, whether it's been an extreme fright, whether it's been, even sometimes stuff like bungee jumping or whatever, when that adrenaline starts to leave your body, your reaction to it is varied, and everybody reacts differently. Okay, fight, flight, freeze, or faint. Okay, if you don't manage your adrenaline, chances are you're going to end up a big puddle of goo on the floor. Okay, not helpful when you're trying to save your life. Okay, and so you need to escape from that terrifying situation, and you need to breathe deeply to help settle that adrenaline. Okay, and you need to report the incident. Okay, so somebody who is helping you out at that time will call the police for you, or certainly shelter you and keep you protected until you can call the police yourself. But you need to have a strategy for settling that adrenaline. Okay, so sometimes, and we see this all the time in these courses, when people go up against the blue man, where they crying hysterically, laughing uncontrollably. Sometimes, quite honestly, sometimes people sob, they wet their pants, they become almost sort of delirious and confused. Adrenaline reacts in many, many different ways in people's bodies. Important to manage it. So for most of us, that is probably one of the most terrifying experiences that people will have, is that experience of being in an assault situation, an attack situation where you need to fight for your life. Okay, so those are the things that you will do if you ever need to save yourself. But the reality is there are so many things that we can do to prevent ever getting to that situation in the first place. Okay, so we've got 4 keys to personal safety that if you can put those, and when you put those in place immediately after this session, you will forever have greater insight and a greater capacity to manage your own personal safety. Okay, so there's 4 of them. The first one is what we call being aware. Okay, so again, this one is probably one of the most important. Awareness is very, very simple. Shoulders back, chin up, making brief eye contact. Notice what's going on around you. Walk around your community, your commute, your any place of business in a state of alert. Okay, that is being aware. So it's shoulders back, chin up, making brief eye contact with everybody that you come in contact with. Okay, so when you are, I'll go back to that scenario, you're leaving work, it's, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning and you're done your shift, or you're done your maybe it's even 8:30 at night, and you're leaving, you're going to your car, you're catching the bus, you're going to the train, wherever it is that you're going. Walking around in a state of alert will let other people in that vicinity know that you are on purpose, you are deliberate, and you are not an easy target. Okay, top that with brief eye contact towards another person seals the deal. They recognize that you are aware, that you're confident, and that you see yourself as powerful, and that is going to give them the message, back off. Okay, so important to walk around. If you need to check your phone, if you need to go through emails or texts or whatever that is, scroll through Facebook, Instagram, then do it in a place where you can do it safely. Before you leave the office or before you leave work, scroll through, answer your text, put your phone away in your back pocket, in your purse, in your backpack, wherever it is that it goes, and walk to the car without your phone in your hand. Okay, recognizing that you're alert, you're noticing what's going on, you're checking who is around you and what is around you. You need to, in this part of it, you are noticing and relying on your intuition and your instinct. If anything in your environment says to you, uh-oh, that feels a bit worrisome, you need to notice it, you need to believe it, and you need to act accordingly. Okay, go back to safety. Many, many times we would get that feeling of uneasiness, of uncertainty, of kind of potential risk. We as humans, we do a nasty job of many times of justifying that, negating it, not listening to it, and we continue to forge into that environment that is not safe, that is risky, and we end up harmed in the process, okay? I think about it like, think of a rabbit. I live in Riverbend, and there's like scads of rabbits that come up, from the bush. And I think about, here are these, little creatures that are super fast, but a dog comes up, starts barking at these rabbits. Does that rabbit sit there and go, nah, I think I'm good? No, it's just a dog, don't worry about it. No, they don't. As soon as their instinct and their intuition says, uh-oh, this might be dangerous, they're gone. They don't try to muscle through it or ego through it. We see this so much with teens and much of the time with males. So teens and young adult males who kind of feel like they need to muscle through those kinds of situations and not appear to be feel threatened or vulnerable in some way. But we need to recognize those times when we feel at risk and walk back to a situation where we know there is safety. So in this case, walk back to the restaurant, to the brewery, to your place of work, right? Don't feel like you've got to muscle through a crowd of teens that might feel weird and stressful. We need to get over the fact that and this happens particularly for women, but sometimes we feel we need to kind of apologize almost in case we hurt somebody's feelings in an effort to protect ourselves. Wow, is that backwards, right? We instead need to say, uh-oh, I don't feel safe. I'm not worried about what you think of that. I'm just going to go back to where I know that I feel safe, right? Very, very important. So awareness, how are we showing up in the world in terms of how we look, our confidence, chin up, making eye contact? How do we feel about the people that are in our environments and the events going on in that environment? Do we feel safe or do we feel at risk? At either stage of that, we need to react, okay? If we feel at risk, go back into a place where you know you can be safe, okay? So, first one is awareness. The second key to safety is about boundaries, okay? If we feel our boundaries are being threatened at all, we need to act on that. Our job is to protect our boundaries, okay? We are the only ones who can, okay? We cannot rely on somebody else who might be offending us to recognize that our boundaries are being threatened. That's backwards as well, right? If we are standing in a situation, let's say that I'm in a lineup at, at McDonald's, and somebody is way too close to me, right? This feels creepy and weird. I think if we all kind of think about a time we've been in a lineup, and now we're lining up for everything, right? Although we're not supposed to be. Lining up for Costco, is somebody too close? It's okay to just take a step away from that, okay? Give yourself that space, and then when the line moves, you can go back into it. But our job is to protect our physical boundaries, okay? Many times our physical boundaries is about 2 feet around the outside of our body, okay? And if we are in a situation where we are feeling extremely at risk, that boundary is even further out and much more solid. Now, much of the time, there is this negotiation, right, with somebody that's trying to infringe upon our boundaries, infringe upon our personal space. Don't worry about it. What's the matter? I'm only joking. Come on, don't worry about it. I'm not going to hurt you, right? Right there is a pretty significant sign that you should be not trusting that person, right? Again, it's that getting those boundaries up, and it can be subtle, right? It can be subtle. It can just be hands in front. Oh, a little too close. And if you need to, back off, right? And again, we need to be not afraid or not worried about offending somebody in the course of protecting our safety, okay? That is so important. We forget that so much of the time. The third key to safety. So the first key is about being aware, walking around in a state of alert. Second one is about our boundaries, protecting them, recognizing them, noticing when they are being infringed upon. The third thing is about having confidence, which we've talked about, but developing those skills for safety, okay? And so those skills are, first of all, the mental toughness. So, you know, what is it that I think about when I'm walking to my vehicle at the end of a shift? What is it that I think about when I'm home at the end of the day? And do I lock my doors? You know, do I make sure my windows are you know, sealed before I go to bed? Those kinds of things. What are our plans for protecting our environment while we are in it? Okay, so developing the skills for that mental toughness, the visualization. What would I do if? Run through some of those scenarios in your head. You're driving to work. What would I do if, you know, somebody grabbed me, you know, while I was at work? What would I do if I would walk into my car and somebody grabbed me? Run those scenarios over in your head. Practice them, because if you have a sense already of what you would do in that situation, and again, it's not about freaking out thinking that there's an attacker behind every tree. It's not about that. It's about recognizing that if you've thought about it first and have sort of a series of strategies and skills that you would put into place and put into use in those times, you're already prepared to do it, right? It's not brand new learning for you, right? I often say, like, would you be able to, you know, win a basketball free throw competition if you'd never picked up a ball before? Probably not. So practice those scenarios. Think about them. Practice with somebody. I'm going to show you a few things here as we get towards more the end of this presentation about how to get out of a wrist grab. You know, just some simple and basic strategies for removing yourself from any of those kind of physical encounters. So again, think about these skills and strategies that we're going to be talking about today, and literally visualize them. Make a plan in your head. This is the best way to do this right now. When we're in the in-person classes, we'll literally take you down to the mats and have you fight to get free. But in absence of that, we've got to, you know, sort of continue to think about those things so that if ever the time comes that we do need to react to that, we've got all that going on. The fourth thing is safety plans. Make a safety plan for yourself. Have a plan in place that you've thought about, that you've rehearsed, that you've put together so that you can react in a way that makes sense. And part of your safety plans are things like being alert and aware, noticing what's going on around you, relying on your intuition. Here's the cool thing about an intuition. Whether you can prove it right or not, it will never fail you, okay? Remember that. It's so important to manage your intuition and react to it as if it is always right. It will never steer you wrong, even if you cannot prove it, okay? So safety plans are your strategies and processes that you can use if they work for you. So when you have, we're going to be talking again, some of the physical stuff, like finger to the eye. Could you do that, right? Walking around with your keys. Could you stab somebody in the cheek with your keys, right? You know, could you grab somebody in the groin, right? Think about what those strategies would be and put them in your safety plan. Again, don't put anything in your safety plan that doesn't feel right for you. Often, if people are practicing things that feel a bit, make you feel uneasy, that just don't fit for whatever it is that works for you, you're not going to be able to use it anyway, okay, in a risky or stressful situation. So put things into your safety plan you know you can use. A great punch, shot to the throat, you know, a smash to the ear, whatever those kinds of things would be. And again, as with those, the confidence part of it, practice it. The best place to practice, I find, is in the privacy of your own vehicle. Crank the radio up and practice things like screaming. right? Practice things like, you know, punching while you're screaming, punch in the air, hit the other seat. Make sure that you are doing these strategies in a way that feels real or feels real enough, so that should ever anything happen to you, you've got it all covered and you've practiced it before. And so it comes as a natural response for you. Okay. I want to talk just a little bit here. So those are the 4 keys to safety. Again, I'll go over them. Be aware and be alert. Boundaries. Establish that you know, sort of air of confidence, and build on those skills. Practice them, and safety plans. Make sure that you've got a strategy in place should anything happen to you. And always in those safety plans, quite honestly, that screaming and yelling, that is so important. Fighting back, running to safety, finding out who it is that in that particular environment can help you, and manage your adrenaline. That is very important, that one as well. I want to talk really quickly here about handbags and backpacks and personal property and stuff like that. We often get caught up in, you know, the stuff that we're carrying and feel like we need to protect it and save it, many times at the risk of ourselves being vulnerable and at higher risk. My advice to you is this: if there is something in your handbag or your backpack or a wallet that you are trying to protect, I would suggest to you that you make a photocopy of it and keep the photocopy in your handbag or your backpack or wherever it is, okay? All of those things that are so precious to you that you want to protect and would risk your life for, trust me, are not worth it, okay? Photocopy your important documents, carry the photocopy around with you. Keep your documents in a safe place at home. You don't need to have your proof of driver's license with you if that's something that you want to protect. You have 24, if you're stopped by the police, you have 24 hours to produce your driver's license, okay? Have a photocopy of it. Have a photocopy of your birth certificate if that's what you want to carry around with you. Don't feel like you need to protect the stuff in your purse, handbag, backpack, wallet, whatever that is, at the risk of harm, of putting yourself in danger, okay? I get asked lots about, oh, well, you know, I've got this great Hermes handbag, you know, I don't wanna have anybody steal that. Well, the question that I have then is, geez, you might have to make a choice, right? You either leave the handbag at home and, you know, use the knockoff, or, you know, there is a risk, right? And so I would just kind of suggest that you sort of weigh those risks and always, you know, err on the side of personal safety. Okay, so let's talk here. We'll ask you to unmute. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to bring up in the next, right at this stage of the game? We're going to go into some physical stuff here in a second. If you have anything to say or anything you want to ask about, anything specific? No, not seeing any microphones go off. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, all right.
You mentioned like walking around like head up, shoulders back, walk with purpose, that kind of thing. Do you think that has like a difference between if you are and like making eye contact, like a guy or a girl walking around? Like, would I walking around that way pose be more intimidating versus, let's say, Denise was walking around that way? Like, is there a different way that you would recommend? Or
so when you say so as in a male walking around looking confident, and is that intimidating?
Yeah, like walking around making eye contact with everyone, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, so my answer would be no. Okay, and here's why. Because walking around appearing to be intimidating to others would just further enhance. And I mean, you're not going to walk around like this, you know, but it's more about it's the difference between intimidating versus purposeful and deliberate, right? Intimidating might be, you know, looking threatening. That's not it at all. However, if that is what is perceived by somebody who could be, would be an attacker or a perpetrator, that's okay. If somebody is looking for a target, sees somebody coming down the street that to them looks intimidating, that perpetrator, that person looking for a victim is probably going to pass you by. Okay, and that's a good thing. So there's an interesting quote by a fella. All of this information that I'm sharing with you today is based on the research by a gentleman out of the US. His name is Gavin de Becker, and he writes a book called The Gift of Fear. An absolutely brilliant, brilliant book if you are looking for something to do mid-pandemic while you got 3 weeks off. It's a great book. He said he has interviewed thousands of people who are incarcerated for various crimes against other people, okay? And he will affirm that when a perpetrator, these folks say, when this criminal, when this perpetrator was looking for a target or looking for a victim, and that person that they had in mind made brief and deliberate eye contact with them, they would find a new target. Okay, that's how powerful and that's how important that simple strategy is. I did a seminar, this particular workshop for, well, we had about 480 international women. It was a travel group. And the question was, you know, oh my gosh, you know, some of these countries, you don't make eye contact. You don't make eye contact with various cultures. My response, because it looks threatening, because it looks intimidating, my response was this: while we are in Canada and while we are in this sort of culture and these communities, we need to show up in a way where we can look like we are deliberate. We can look like we are purposeful and intentional of where we are moving through the community. And so I cannot speak for other countries where this isn't sort of a cultural, I guess, acceptability, or isn't culturally acceptable. But I certainly can speak to Canada and our community where, yes, it is okay to look confident and to look deliberate and purposeful in our movement throughout our communities. Does that make sense? I'm going to say, yes, we're good to go. Okay, let's talk about what some of the strategies are for doing our self-defense and some of this physical movement. Now, again, we don't teach specific choreography. Hold your hand here, move your foot there, and you know, we don't do that in our programs because we find that the people, when they are taken to the mats with our blue guy, it is just a fight for life, and nobody remembers, wait, stop, you know, bad guy, I need to make my proper fist. We don't want to get into those kinds of situations where people are caught up in their head, okay, how do we do that again? It's not about that. It's just about fighting for your life. Now, that said, I do want to show you a specific stance that is so crucial and so important, I think, for how you are presenting yourself to the world. And I'm just going to move my camera down here for just a second. So very often when we're standing, we're kind of feet shoulder width apart. And we're kind of where it is, we're standing in a lineup, we're, you know, maybe we're serving tables, whatever we're doing. I would strongly suggest to you that you take your dominant hand, find your dominant leg, and then move that dominant leg back about 6 or 8 inches and turn it at an angle, okay? And then put your weight on your back hip. So just stand up with me if you're in a place to do that. Hopefully you're not in your car, but just stand up up for me just now and practice this with me. I want you to get a sense of how this feels. This is what we call our blade stance or sturdy stance, or it kind of says to the rest of the world, I'm ready. And the neat thing about this stance is it also gives the message to your body, ready. And so if you are standing, again, with resting on that back hip, with your feet sort of belayed, that your body develops that message of ready to go, whatever that is, right? You're much more sturdy should someone come towards you. You're much more able to react in a way that is quicker and you're less vulnerable. So when we are doing these practices of, you know, the strikes and the punches and the hits and the kicks, I want you just to stand like that, resting on that back hip, and over the course of your day, just practice doing that and reassuring yourself that this means you're sturdy, okay, and ready for whatever that is. Maybe you're carrying a massive, huge tray. Way easier to do that if you're steadier on your feet. So again, get into that sturdy stance, put your weight on that back hip. Okay, so let's get started. So in my sturdy stance, we are going to practice some of these hits and strikes, but we are going to practice them loud so that we can pair the action with the verbalization. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, everybody in their sturdy stance, you're going to stand up for this. And we're going to be hollering and screaming. And so you know what? If you want to turn on your camera or on your microphones and everybody shouts together, that's all good. But please, please, please do this at home or wherever it is that you are, and doing it with sincerity, making sure that you're being loud, because I'm going to be. So when we're punching, we're going to roll forward on that hip. We want to make sure we're punching with our body, not just with our hand, okay? So we're rolling forward, we're using the thrust from our legs to follow through on that punch, okay? Because a punch right here does nothing, okay? We've got to use the punch where we're rolling over on our full body, all right? So I'm going to do it with my right hand, my sturdy stance, rolling forward on that toe, rolling forward on that hip. I'm going to do it 3 times. I'm going to be shouting really, really loud, okay? So if this bothers you, plug your ears. But this is the deliberateness and the intention that we need to practice this stuff, okay? I'm gonna do it 3 times. Please do it along with me. I would love it if you would. Here it goes. No, no, no. Okay, now I'm gonna do it the other side. With my left hand, I've got my left foot back in that blade stance. I'm gonna do it 3 times again. Feels super weird to do it on your left side, or your non-dominant hand feels like you're doing it with somebody else's. But here it goes. No! No, no, super loud, super deliberately. It's important to do that. So when we are punching something, including our attacker, we need to make sure that we are punching through the target, okay? If I'm going to be punching somebody or intending to punch somebody in the nose, I better be prepared to punch them right through the back of the head, okay? Sounds gross, sounds weird, but that's the deliberateness that we need to do it, okay? And so again, I would suggest that you practice. If you've never hit somebody before, if you don't have siblings, or you had a nice calm family where nobody punched anybody, I would suggest that you practice. What does it feel like when you punch a solid object? Okay, use the back of the couch. That's a great place to practice. But again, it's this punch right through, okay? No, no, super loud, okay? You gotta be verbalizing, you gotta be vocalizing the whole way we're doing this, okay? So that's the punch, okay? I wanna show you a strike, palm strike right here. It's the same motion, you're on your back, in your blade stance. Again, this camera doesn't really do it justice, but blade stance, the nice thing about a palm strike is you're using this right here. This, especially for females, this tends to be more the natural choice. I like it way better. Takes me a while to kind of figure out, okay, fist, fist, fist. I like this better, and it's a strike right here on the bottom part of your palm. No, no, and you've got a lot of momentum, lots of momentum, and lots of range of motion doing that. So again, both hands. The nice thing about a palm strike is you can go up. So think about up on somebody's nose, underneath somebody's chin, okay? Going down, right? So if you're heading for the somebody's got a belly, a beer belly, or you know, if you need to, you can hit downward on with that palm strike as well. Want to show you what will we do? So a wrist grab. The thing about a wrist grab is this: it is probably one of the most common ways that somebody will be assaulted. First, somebody will grab a wrist, okay? The perpetrator will grab a wrist, whether it's like this to drag you off, whether it's like this and they tuck your arm underneath theirs to keep you close to them, okay? So here's the important thing about a wrist grab. And if you're with somebody, I'd suggest you try it together. The weakest part of the wrist grab is where your thumb and finger come together, okay? And if you pull against that connection, you will always be able to get out of that grab, okay? That perpetrator cannot contain this connection if you are pulling against it. There's no way that they can. And so it's a super quick movement. Okay, so I'm going to be pulling against those fingers. Okay, and so it's a movement down. And again, it's loud. No! And if you practice that with somebody that is beside you, if there's two of you in a room, or even when you are able to get back into the office, practice this one. It's so important, and you'll be surprised at how quickly you can get out of that. Practice it on your partner, whoever it is that you've got with you. So, and again, it's that pulling down out of breaking that connection between those thumbs and fingers. The other thing is, and about a wrist grab, we have a very important nerve that runs from our thumb right up the top of our arm towards our elbow and up into, well, it goes all the way into your shoulder, into your neck. It's called a radial nerve. And so if you put your thumb kind of on the top of your arm and just roll around, you'll feel that really gross, awful, nervy feeling. Okay, if somebody has got you in a wrist grab and you're struggling to get out of it, if you hit right on the top of that radial nerve, they won't be able to hang on. It renders their fingers numb and weak, so they will have to let go of you. That radial nerve is the same as your funny bone nerve on your elbow. It's on the top. So think about it. You've cracked your funny bone. You can't pick up your cup of coffee right after that. So the radial nerve on the top of your arm, just give yourself a karate chop right on that, and you'll feel where that tenderness, where that nervy pain is. Okay, so I want to talk as well. So that was the wrist grab. Let's talk about what we call it the clamp. When we teach this to kids, it's called a shark bite. Okay, so this is a super important one that is just a pinch with your whole hand. And so think about it. It's a pinch on a cheek. Somebody's grabbed you and you grab the cheek. It's a pinch on the ears, right? You can easily grab onto somebody's ears, grab onto somebody's hair, okay? Grab onto somebody's throat, okay? For females, boobs, always a big grab on that. Grabbing in the love handles right here with your whole fist. Just do it on yourself. Underneath the arms, that fleshy part underneath your arm, give that a big grab. The other parts, obviously, it's the groin, right? A big grab on the groin. With groin, we're going to talk about that for a sec. With the groin, I know exactly where bad guy's groin is. If he's got me from behind, I know exactly where the groin is. It's right behind my butt. So I can just step out of that, grab that groin and give it a pull, right? Grab that and give it a tug. And it's not a little finger pinch, it's a whole hand pinch, okay? The other places where it's super effective, if somebody's got you down or you're in an awkward spot, just give a pinch right behind, just above the knee. Try it on yourself and recognize how tender those spots are. Want to talk briefly about vulnerable spots right here. We've only got a few minutes left here. Want to talk briefly about the vulnerable parts of our body. So when you are thinking about where would I strike to be most effective, here they are. It's everything that is about the width of your head down the front to the bottom of your feet. Okay, so that includes, let's start at the top of the head. Grab somebody's hair if you need to. My hair always ends up in a turmoil when I do this, right? So grab somebody's hair if you need to. Eyes, poke somebody in the eyes if you can. Again, put this stuff in your safety plan, whatever it is that works for you. Poke somebody in the eyes, smash somebody in the nose. Again, going straight down the middle of your body. A shot to the underside of the chin. I'd probably not suggest a punch to the mouth. You might, I mean, if that's what works for you and that's how you get out of it, brilliant. But I probably would, probably are going to hurt your hand more than you're going to hurt them. Shot to the ears. This is a brilliant one. It's the bang on the ears. Just pound on your ears like this and see the impact of that. That's a very, very sensitive spot for many people. Somebody's got you from the front. If you've got your arms up, bang, give them a shot in the ears. Punch to the throat, a strike to the throat, quite honestly, is one of your most effective strategies for escaping a perpetrator. If you can get your hand to the throat, just push on your throat here. Give it a little bit of pressure and you'll see how sensitive that area is. It's so, and if you get a shot in the throat, I don't know if anybody has, if you get a shot in your throat, it stops everything. You think, oh my God, I can't breathe, I can't speak. It's frightening for somebody that gets it. Again, breasts for females, if you can get a hold, if you need to. Going down the front of the body, a shot in the solar plexus. We've all had you know, a dodgeball in the ribs where we think that we're never going to breathe again. Shot in the stomach, depending, may or may not be the best place. My favorite place is the groin, okay? Males and females. A knee to the groin, a shot to the groin, a punch, a grab, twist. Very, very, very important part for a thing to put into your safety plan to get yourself safe. These big muscles are quads. We've all had a Charlie horse. We've all had a dead leg. You can get your knee up, giving somebody a shot in the quad, heading for the groin, but maybe you miss and you get the quad. That's probably going to render them weak in the leg. We've all tried to walk when we've had a shot in the quadricep. And then again, our shins down the front of our leg, just a little flick kick in the shin, super effective. And then the other one is a stomp on the foot. We've got however many bones, like dozens and dozens of bones in the foot. A quick stomp on the foot, that's going to do a couple of things. Might distract that person enough. If he's behind you and you're stomping on that foot, might just distract enough that they would let go, and that's the moment that you take off. Again, we want to talk here, I want to stress the importance here. This is not about beating up or harming somebody that has attacked you. These strategies are to be put into place as a means to have that perpetrator loosen his grip on you so that you can run off and get help. Okay, this isn't about, you know, pummeling somebody and I'm going to show you, not about that at all. It's about doing whatever you can in that moment to get away and get yourself to safety. So we are at 11:58. Can I just get, I'm going to go back to our Brady Bunch view here. And I just want to ask folks, if you want to turn your cameras on, if you want to turn your microphone on, and just if you have any comments, any questions, anything you want to have clarified or discussed further.
What are your, I have a question, sorry. Yeah. What are your thoughts on those like noisemaker things, like the really loud, squealy?
Yeah, alarms and even things like bear spray or pepper spray. I get asked that a lot, Denise, thanks for that. Yeah. Now here's the thing about tools outside of ourselves in a high adrenaline situations. We need to remember to use that stuff, okay? If you're, and again, I don't ever promote, here's what you should use. I believe that everything that I have to keep myself safe, I've already got in my body. I've got my voice and I'm fighting back like the Dickens. So if you choose to use something outside of yourself, make sure you use it. Make sure you know how to use it. Make sure you carry it. A whistle works great. I used to, while I was in university, I had a personal alarm that was attached on a, it had a little pin, and when you pulled the pin, it squealed like crazy. If you have those things and you want to use those things, please know, have them at the ready, have it in your hand. Don't stuff it in your backpack and ask the perpetrator to wait till you get it out. If you're going to be using something like a bear spray or a pepper spray, I certainly cannot sanction that at all. However, if you choose to do that, you need to know how to use it. Okay, that can quickly turn on you. Anything else? Does that make sense, Denise?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Don't know if Adam is still with us. Oh yeah, there I see Adam. Anything else, Adam, that any questions, comments, thoughts about any of this?
No, the physical actions are pretty explanatory through your demonstrations. Those were really good.
Awesome, good. Okay, well, you know what, guys, we, I mean, is there any, does anybody have a certain scenario that they want to walk through, talk through? Is there any kind of specifics in and around, you know, kind of awareness pieces at work, anything like that that we want to focus on?
I do have one,
Mhm.
and maybe you mentioned it and I just missed it, but say you're being like choked by someone
Mhm.
and your like airways are being blocked.
Yeah.
What's your suggestion in that situation?
Well, and again, so we do review those in the in-person classes, okay? And so the important part about that really is about doing your best to give yourself that breathing room for the airway. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually bring your hands up to your neck and kind of create that sort of airway space, right? It's the same with if people are being choked, obviously, like in a headlock, or the other big thing that's absolutely crazy these days is somebody pulling on the back of your hoodie and choking people to the point of passing out. And again, your strategy is going to be, as much as you can, getting your hands inside that other person's hands so that you can give yourself that breath, and then go towards them. When you think about, so somebody that is choking you, if you step back towards them, if they're choking you from the front and you step towards them, they risk falling backwards. And what is the one thing that none of us want to do? Fall backwards. And so if somebody is choking you and you, with all your force, you've got your airway room and you're pushing towards them and they're at risk of falling backwards, chances are they're going to let you go. The last thing they want to do is fall backwards. Same with somebody's got you from behind, okay? Somebody's got you from behind like this, choking, and you've got your airway and you step backwards into them. Whoops, you just fell backwards. You step backwards into them. Again, this is the perfect time to step on their foot and lean into them, okay? We talked about that foot stomp. Step on that foot and plant yourself on that foot and lean back into them. Chances are they feel themselves going down backwards, they're going to let go of you, okay? Now, you could be falling down right on top of them, but the fact of the matter is that they are going to stop to protect themselves. You can roll out of there and get yourself onto safety quickly. Anything else? Any other questions here at this stage?
Yeah, are we gonna discuss anything like sort of like changing up your routine strategies, or like if you're walking home alone, like notifying people, like where you're leaving and the path you're taking,
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the safety mindset stuff that we're going to go into here right now.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So anything else just in and around these, the physical strategies and you know, some of those first parts that we had talked about? No? Okay. I'm just going to change my view back here. Okay. So I want to talk about this concept called WIN. What's important now? WIN. So we this is part of again, this is part of Gavin de Becker's teachings in terms of focusing on the immediate situation to make your decisions. And so always our plan needs to be focused on survival rather than this sounds worse than it is, rather than caring for somebody else's feelings, okay, and somebody else's safety if they are the perpetrator of us. So the what's important now concept looks at how can we respond quickly in that situation so that we are safe and protected. We need to get over that piece again, and I mentioned it before, we need to get over that you know, kind of thought that we are, if we're saving our lives, this isn't about the bigger picture, okay? This is about what do we need to do in that moment immediately to get out of that situation. And so when we look at things like what are our strategies for walking to our vehicle? Well, our strategy needs to be protect our own self-protection and preservation in that moment, right? So again, we got our phone away. We've already parked under a light. We need to remember where we parked our vehicle. How many of us have been in the Walmart parking lot on Christmas Eve and we walk out the doors and go, oh crap, where did I park? And so you walk around for the next 10 minutes with your fob going beep, 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 trying to find your phone. Right there, we're an easy target, right? And so when we think about this within the context of what's important now, when we get out of our vehicle, the strategy needs to be, okay, I'm in the fourth stall underneath the third section of lights. Okay, now I know where I am, right? You go in, you do your thing. And again, it's this source of awareness, right? I'm noticing where I'm at. I'm noticing where I'm going. I'm moving through with my cart, looking around. What am I doing in that moment that lets me look like less of a target, right? I walk directly to the vehicle. I'm in, I lock my doors and off I go. When we talk, Adam, about changing up our routine, changing up our, you know, schedule, if you're running and stuff, I would strongly suggest that you participate in activities with somebody else as much as possible. I'm not always, I don't always believe that when, that we need to change up our routes for walking home, that we need to you know, change up where we park, or change up, you know, if we're going for a run, that we change up our you know, routine, going for walk outings with our families. I don't so much believe in the need for that, so long as we are showing up deliberately, purposefully, and recognizing what is in our environment and noticing that from the perspective of what is my focus and attention and what does that need to be in this moment right now, okay? We can manage those situations if we are alert to them and prepared for them, okay? Which is kind of part of what the bigger picture is of this work. And again, when we show up in our world and we are confident and we are alert, everything changes, okay? We look different to other people and other people look different to us. We can tell quickly and immediately whether or not a certain situation is going to be risky or not for us, okay? We get lots of questions of people asking us about weapons, Okay, here's the skinny on weapons. Your strategy remains the same. Okay, here's the question. Can you get hurt if you are struggling to get free so you can save your life? You sure can. Yeah, because you've already fallen down on the concrete. You're already, you know, sort of scraped up, banged up. Maybe you're cut on your head. Maybe you scraped the skin off your elbow. Maybe you got road rash all down your shoulder or your knee or whatever that is. That is also the beauty and the purpose of adrenaline, quite honestly, is to protect you in that, and adrenaline causes you to not feel pain. That's the other part of the strategy for it, which is part of the reason why you get the shakes after the fact. And the pain shows up at the same time as you get those shakes, right? So that's why it's important to manage it. But when it comes to a weapon, somebody's got a knife, somebody's got a gun, somebody's got I don't know, a baton or a bat, your strategy is the same, recognizing that you can get hurt struggling to save your life. Okay, that's the purpose of the perpetrator. Okay, now, can we run if we're bleeding from the head or have a broken arm? Yes, we can. Okay, we've all heard those stories. Oprah does them all the time, right? Of, you know, people that have accomplished great feats in, you know, the midst of, you know, sort of cut and bleeding or whatever they are. I think I personally would choose to be harmed running away from a perpetrator towards help than staying in that situation and giving up because I'm afraid to be harmed. Okay, now that's sort of a big leap, I think, for lots of people, but the reality is this: if someone comes to you threatening or wielding a weapon, you know, don't say anything and I won't hurt you, or come with me and you won't be hurt. I say that's garbage because why would they be holding a weapon, and why would they have grabbed you in the first place if their intention was not to harm you? Okay, so if it were up to me, I would be fighting, screaming, hollering, shouting, kicking, doing whatever I can to get out of that situation, recognizing that I could potentially be hurt, but I can also potentially be safe. Okay, does that make sense to people? It's sometimes a bit of a risky conversation, but it is.
I have a quick question with that one. So
Yeah.
say you're approached by someone who they haven't touched you, but like say you're walking down an alley, you've got your backpack on after work, and someone threatens you with a knife. They haven't touched you, but they're like, give me your backpack or I will stab you, kind of thing. Is the idea just hand over your stuff and start shouting?
Totally. And if it was somebody walking towards me, I would take my backpack off and throw it way beyond over their head, so that if they want my backpack, and that provides a beautiful diversion, beautiful distraction, they're going to watch that backpack go the opposite direction and out I go the other way.
Cool.
Yeah, we get that a lot, and oftentimes, I mean, backpacks, yes, are a big thing. We have lots of times women with their handbags. It's all their worldly possessions, right? And that's why I'm just such an advocate for photocopy all of the important things in your purse and carry the photocopier. Carry the photocopies. Because if we are less attached to the stuff in our backpack or a handbag or a wallet or whatever, it's easier for us to throw it away, right? If I've got all my worldly possessions in that backpack and I just can't bear to lose it, I put myself at risk of being a target because I'm trying to protect my stuff. And it's just, I am much more valuable than my stuff, right? So
yeah, so with that one, like regardless of what's in your bag, so like I think about myself, I'm a photographer, so I will often have very expensive equipment in my bag. Regardless, you still chuck your bag at them?
You still chuck your bag. I mean, it's you or the bag, right? It's you or the bag. And, you know, when I talk to women travelers, and lots of these are solo travelers, right? Everything is in their bag, right? I mean, they're in, I don't know, Africa, and everything is in their bag. And it's a, you know, again, it's you or it's the bag, right? Because rest assured, if you are holding on to that bag and there is a perpetrator, they don't want your camera, they want you, right? And if you're creating that diversion of throwing that bag beyond them, that's where their attention's going to go, and then you're running the other way. So yeah, get some good insurance. Any other questions, any comments about that? No? So I'll just tell you just really quickly my story and how I got into this and why I do this. And so right before my 17th birthday, I was assaulted. I was at a crazy party, Central Alberta, was assaulted. And I did what many young teenage females would do in that situation, is I did absolutely nothing. Okay, so I did manage eventually to get out of there, get back to the safety of my friends, but I never told a soul, what had happened to me. So several years later, of course, I was, you know, finishing school and was working and kind of launched into my career. And it happened again. I was downtown Electric Avenue. I mean, that's how old I am, but remembering those days of 11th Avenue when, you know, everything went on down there, and it was the place to be if you were anybody. Happened again. I was kind of, you know, thrown up against the side of a car and, you know, jeepers. So at that stage of the game, I was working. I'm a social worker by profession, was working with marginalized communities in the city. And many women, girls, teens, grandparents, grandmothers had similar ongoing, almost cyclical, generational experiences of abuse and assault and horrible treatment. And so we kind of did lots of research and took some classes and programs and talked lots about how we can, you know, kind of protect ourselves and what could we put into place so that that doesn't happen again. And we had many, many conversations over several years of doing this. So when my youngest son was actually in kindergarten, they had a self-defense program, and I went into the classroom on that particular day and I watched the session. I went, oh my gosh, this is the framework for this teaching that I've been looking for years and years and years. And so I phoned up the owner, who happened to be a former City of Calgary police officer. And I said, oh my gosh, Deb, I saw your program. I absolutely loved it. I want to come work for you. So that started a 17-year journey for me of training and facilitating and hosting and running these programs. And then about, I think it was about 7 years ago, 6.5, 7 years ago, she came to me and said, would you like to buy the company? So that's what I did. And which is sort of how I got to where I am today in running this program. So again, we do these for kids and teens. We go into schools and run this program for little kids. We do them for, you know, organizations like security companies and what do you call them? Rental companies, property management companies, that's the word. We do them in Indigenous communities and kind of all across Western Canada. And now with this pandemic, we've been running scads of them online, lots of times for kids and teens and adults. We've done them for various community organizations that want to kind of plug their people in. As far north as you know, Peace River country and the southern part of Yukon, and all the way south, you know, to the U.S. borders. So it's been a heck of a ride, a heck of a journey, and I absolutely love this work. We see people all the time come away from these presentations going, wow, I had no idea. And holy smokes, you know, holding themselves up, you know, walking with such an increased sense of confidence and awareness that they just, you know, feel much more equipped to move about their communities in a way that's deliberate and on purpose. So that's kind of the gist of that. Now, Adam, I have several. I write a blog, and so I post all of those blogs to my website. I don't know how many are on there. There's probably 25 or something on there. And so what I'd really like to do is at the end of this, I will send you, Adam, a document that I call Personal Safety Mindset. It's the sort of is a bit of a synopsis of what we've covered today. It covers the no and recognizing that no is actually a complete sentence. We don't need to justify it and say, oh, I'm sorry, and please don't do that. We need to be solid and strong in our no. So this particular document covers that. I've also got a blog that I will attach as well. It's called Street Smarts for Busy Women. Now, the intention there is that it is for everybody. I have listed it as women just because I actually wrote it for a specific women's group that I was presenting to at that time. So I will send that as well. People on this call, I would love it if you would share any little tidbit of information that you have learned, share it with your family, share it with your friends, with your colleagues. The purpose of this is to get the message out there, making sure that people can protect themselves. They know that they have a right to protect themselves, and they can just show up in their world and in their communities in a much stronger, more aware, and more deliberate sort of way. So with that, oh, here's the other thing. If you go on to my website, www.safeforlife, that's number 4, .ca, there, and on the contact tab, if you just put your email in, we will send you a action guide. You can request a Safe Adults Action Guide. And so it's a, I don't know, 3 or 4 page document that just kind of reviews what we've talked about today, but also gives you some practice strategies. So what would you do if, and how would you respond if? So it's kind of a great document and a great sort of conversation starter when you're looking at sharing this with the greater team and with other folks in your life. And I would strongly suggest that you do that and practice those punches. Get on the back of your couch and just start ramming it. So it's therapeutic, but it's also great practice. Okay, so I think that's a wrap. Adam, if you have anything else that you want to talk about or want me to sort of review, anything specific that comes to mind. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Lorna, I just want to thank you. I think this is great. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, you know, we think we know, or we have a general idea, but you know, hearing somebody with a bit of practice and some expertise in this topic is good, because to me, this isn't sort of like a one and done. The fact that, you know, you're going to be able to share this presentation with us allows us to revisit it, to keep it fresh and keep it sharp in our minds.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Adam. And it is important. And I just really hope that you can share it kind of amongst your team and make it as part of your regular conversations, as well with your family members. Make personal safety part of that, those ongoing conversations, because that's the whole point of changing this consent and safety and self-protection culture. Is the more we talk about it, the more things shift and evolve. So and that really is how we make changes in our world, right? So thank you so much, folks, for joining us here today. I hope that we're all able to get, you know, back and seeing each other and customers and clients in the flesh before too long. And I do hope you download that action guide And you know what, I just hope you're a little bit more equipped to go and take on the day and live your lives to the fullest. So keep your head up, notice what's going on around you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lorna.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Lorna. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.